This conference will now be recorded.
So what we discussed in our last session? Can
About
anyone give me a quick recap of a few topics? We discussed about
we
orchestration.
orchestration.
Okay, what is an orchestration? Quickly, what is an orchestration,
Se-
guys?
sequence or combination of services to produce a single or a desired response.
Is a response. I said the statement like a process of coordinating with multiple services to get the desired output. We call that as a orchestration, right? So where we write that orchestration logic,
In the process flow, process
others also please
mu
participate. Everyone please participate, guys. Yeah. So where we write the orchestration logic
Mule flow.
In the mule flow.
in the mule
configuration.
flow. Yeah, in the mule flow, and that mule flow can be written inside a configuration XML file. So that XML file I will write inside a
mule
mule project,
application. Yeah.
right? So we discussed explicitly about a mule configuration XML also, and what is the typical structure of a mule flow?
Source
Yeah,
and process.
Process, so source, process, and error handling.
yeah, three parts: source, process, and error handling. What type of configurations we can write in a source part?
Listener,
Like any component which can accept the flow, accept the request into the flow, right? Or any flow, any component which can trigger the flow, correct? Okay. Then what type of logic we write in the orchestration?
And it transformation logic.
Like
Route,
any orchestrated logic. I mean,
route,
we'll see about what type of logic and all by using the first Hello World project today. Okay. And explicitly we discussed about a configuration XML also, right? And few connection details as well, right? So this configuration XML contains three windows. What are those, and what is each and every window is useful for?
message
Yeah,
flow, global elements, and XML
yeah,
configuration.
Nisha, Neeraj, Manju, I can't hear anything from you guys. Raja, Raghu, please participate. Yeah,
The message flow, global exchange, and configuration XML
no, no, global element, not exchange, is a global element.
for global element.
Yeah, so message flow, global element, and a configuration XML, right? So message flow specifically used for what type of logic we write there?
a graphical
The
design.
graph, yeah, graphical representation of all the services
Representation.
or the characters.
Graphical representation of the entire mule application, right? The logic what you want to write, development logic, right? And in the global element,
A connector configuration.
character configuration, the connection details, right? The connection details. Okay. Once you create any connection, can I use that connection across the project level?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
right. Yes, right. Because by default, that will be treated as what? Global element. By default, it will be treated as global element. All this graphical representation, the logic and the connection, everything can be done, and it will be converted into XML format that you can see in the configuration XML window. I think I have given a glance on that as well. I have shown you practically also how it will be. Okay. But we will see in detail about when I talk about the first project here. Did we set up the Anypoint Studio already? Everyone are ready with your Anypoint Studio setup?
Yes.
Yes, Sujit.
I think in the
Yes.
second session or first session, second session, I guess we have completed the setup of Studio. I don't think so. Anyone having an issue? So right now I'm in some other workspace. Anypoint Studio, some other workspace. I want to switch back to my workspace. That means I want to relaunch this Anypoint Studio on my desktop with the folder what I required. That means for your batch, I created one more folder, right? I want to launch with that. So basically I want to switch the workspace. So what is our workspace name? 7 a.m. IST. This is the batch. This is the folder. Only I set up the any point studio. Did I explain entire structure of the studio, like palette and all? Did I already done that?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's start with our first hello world project. I have some requirement. Before that, what is the SDLC process? What are the steps involved in this SDLC process?
Requirement
requirement gathering, designing, testing,
First is
and finally deploying.
gathering the requirement. Next,
design.
design. You are going to design. Next,
Development.
simulate that whatever the design you are doing it, we need to simulate with some sample data to get a feedback.
Yes.
Next,
Development.
development. Next,
Testing.
Testing.
Deployment.
testing. Hmm? It could be UAT testing, SAT testing, or any integration testing also, right? Testing. Next,
Deployment.
Deployment.
deployment. Next,
Support.
managing by writing some security policies and all, right? So actually, you will gather the requirement from the client and we'll design an API. For that API, we'll by giving some sample data, we'll simulate it, and then we'll develop the application, and then we'll do the testing for that, and then we'll deploy the application, and then we'll manage the application as well, right? Now, since we are a developer, I'm not going in a sequence. I will assume that API got created, and for that API, we are going to develop the application. So basically, development part. So basically, development part we will be concentrating mostly in the starting stage, initial stage onwards, and then we will do the testing by using an M-Unit framework. Then we will talk about deployment strategies. So first 16 to 17 sessions we'll discuss about these points: development, testing, and deployment area. Okay. So to develop the application, we required an API. We required an API. Okay. So how we are going to, I mean, how we are going to create an API? Before starting of the Hello World project, I just want to discuss about the architecture of Anypoint platform also, right? So in the SDLC process, assume that you gather the requirement by using a text. Okay, I mean in the text format by using a functional requirement document. Okay, so in the document we have some requirements in the text format. Now once you get that requirement at the development team, what you need to do? We'll start with, yeah, we'll start with designing an API, right? Assume that we are using a REST as a service provider. So we are creating a REST API. How to design the REST API? What language we use? Yes,
Raman.
guys. What language we use?
JSON.
RAML. RAML is the language, RESTful API modeling language we use to design this REST API. Yeah, and where we are going to design that? We also have provided any applications,
Design
especially
center.
to design the API. Yeah, there is something called design center. I'm just giving a one liner of each and every application what it is responsible for. Okay, in detail when I'm talking about a banking application, we'll go in a sequence of SDLC process, and we'll see which application is used for what. So right now this API can be created by using the design center. That means can't I create the YAML file by using any point studio? We can do that as well. By using any point studio also we can create, but it is not recommendable. Specifically they designed one application design center. From the design center we can design an API. What is the next step after designing an API?
Simulation.
We need to simulate to get a feedback from a client, right? How you are going to simulate? Basically, for this YAML file, we are going to uh, initialize some sample data by creating the data types, by creating the examples, and this YAML file. We are going to create one sample data. Once we create the sample data, we need to enable this API with the sample data to deploy on some mule server. Now, so we need to enable mocking server at your everything will be done in the design center itself because while designing only you are getting a feedback, right? So we will be giving some sample data and we will enable the mocking URL, that means mocking server, right? So automatically once you enable it, your API with the sample data will be deployed on a mocking server and it will throw one mocking URL. Okay, next, after simulation, what is the next step? Basically I need to get a feedback from a client. How you will get a feedback? Directly if you share this YAML file to a client, he may not able to understand what is a YAML file and all. So how client can access your YAML file? Instead of sending that YAML file, why can't we convert that into some endpoints? Whatever the methods and resources I'm writing into it, why can't we convert into some open endpoints? So that open endpoints can be done at one more application. You need to publish this YAML file onto, yeah, MuleSoft having one repository named as exchange, named as exchange. Okay, it's like a library or a MuleSoft repository, I can say. So everything will be present in this exchange. So now your YAML also should be published. I'm using a word called publish. I'm publishing that YAML file onto the exchange. So it will be convert that resources like slash product slash get method slash products, post method slash products, all the open all the resources will be converted into some endpoints. Okay, so that API who can access? It is part of the exchange. If it is a part of the exchange, only within the organization level who are having the access to that Anypoint platform account, they can access this exchange, not an external body, so not a client. So my idea is what? I want to get a feedback from a client. So what I can do in the exchange, when you go to this API, there is an option called share. So once you click on a share, the API will be shared to the public portal. This is the public portal. So once you share to the public portal, this URL will be given to the client. So now client, there is one endpoint like slash products. If you click on that, basically it is converting the YAML file into UI format, user interface format with the open endpoints. Once he click on that get method slash products, already we enable the mocking server for that, right? So once you click on that request, automatically he will get some response. So for example, let's take we are giving some slash product by ID. Okay, that is the API I created and sample data I given for the customer, right? So once he send a request, he will get the customer details like customer ID, name, and all. And for customer ID, what data type I assigned, everything that entire design of the customer format is given in the response. Basically, what client will do? Client will check he is given some requirement, accordingly he is getting some response or not, he will check, right? And each field, each attribute is assigned to what data type and all, he will check. So once he check everything, once he is satisfied, then he will give a sign off for the API. Okay, once it is done, what is the next step? Once the YAML file is designed, once the API is designed, and once you get a feedback from a client, what is the next step?
Develop
Hmm.
API.
development phase, right? So where we can develop our mule applications?
Anypoint Studio.
Anypoint Studio. So Anypoint Studio is not part of Anypoint platform since it will come in a sequence and SDLC process. I'm just demonstrating here. Anypoint Studio is a desktop application. Okay, not even installing on your OS. It is only a setup. Okay, if you close that Anypoint Studio, it is not running on your background. No. Okay, so Anypoint Studio. Now in this Anypoint Studio, we are going to create mule XML files and in that mule flows, right? So how we can decide how many flows we can create like that? How we can decide? Basically, in the raml file, uh, every requirement will be having one endpoint. For example, client is asking to get a product from all the from the database. So what is the endpoint? You can write in that API, get is the method and slash products is the endpoint. Like that, if you have one more requirement to get a product by id, so there is one more API called get slash products and a id, right? So for every method and a resource combination, one flow should be generated, one flow should be created. So now this raml file, if I have 1,000 methods and resources in a raml file, so you will sit and create 1,000 flows in your Anypoint Studio. Instead of that, automatically, if your system based on a method and resource combination, automatically if it create a flows, if it create a basic flows, it will be helpful to you. So that is the option given by the MuleSoft here. What they can, I mean, you can import the raml file from the design center to Anypoint Studio, or if it is already published by someone, if you want to write an implementation for that, from the exchange also you can import that API onto the Anypoint Studio. Or if anyone shared with you personally or directly through the mail or through the any file transfer, and if you downloaded that onto your local system, from the local file system, if you place data from there also, you can import onto the Anypoint Studio. Okay, so the raml files directly you can import onto the Anypoint Studio if the design is correct. The entire raml file design is correct, automatically the flows will be generated in the Anypoint Studio for every method and a resource combination. Okay, you don't need to create this. These are basic flows, only according to the raml it will create. Once it is creating the basic flows, you need to write your own implementations according to the requirement. If you want to connect with a database, that data source connection logic, that's like by using a select operation. So that database connection logic you need to write, you need to read that and you need to write the logic in that flow. Okay, basic flows will be generated, the implementation you need to write. Okay, so like that you can write the implementations. Once you write the development, once you write the implementations, what are the next step? Yeah,
Testing.
Testing.
testing. So how we can do the testing? If you want to write some functional test cases, how we can write the functional test cases? In Mule, there is one framework. If you are from Java, if you want to write some test cases, what is the framework we use?
JUnit.
JUnit.
Unit. Similarly, there is an MUnit. So why I am writing inside Anypoint Studio here is MUnit is a framework. You don't need to have a separate plugin or a separate application for MUnit. MUnit also will come along with the Studio itself. Okay, as a plugin. If you want to explicitly get that, you need to get it from the marketplace and all. But here directly, MUnit will come into your Anypoint. I mean, along with your Anypoint Studio itself, and you can write a functional test cases. And we are going to discuss about that as well by using some strategies. Once you write the test cases, once the testing is done, next step, yeah, what the next step?
Deployment.
Deployment.
Generally, where we deploy your mule applications.
Load up.
What is it, cloud up? In the cloud up directly, you can deploy.
In
Basically,
the store.
a, basically anything will be deployed on a mule server, correct?
Yeah.
Mule server. Where that mule server is hosted, This could be on premise,
On-premise. Yeah.
this could be hybrid, this could be on a cloud hub, or this could be on a runtime fabric. Basically, these are the deployment strategies. Okay, there are small changes you need to do when you are deploying application onto the cloud hub, right? So basically, Mule server is running on the different environment. That means different. I mean, I can say these different strategies. So your Mule application will be deployed onto this Mule server. Once the application is deployed with the Mule server, there will be one URL. Okay, let's assume as of now we are discussing about a on-premise. So your application is deployed on a on-premises Mule server, and it is having some URL, and it is running on a let's take 8082 port number by default, where your original application is running. That means your Mule application is running on a 8082 port number. Okay, directly, if this URL is shared with anyone can send a request right to that application. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah.
If the
Yes.
URL is available public, anyone can send in that environment, can deploy the can send the request to that. Yes, but is it secure? Is it secure?
No.
No, right? So I think something, I mean, I want something like a gateway between the client and the original Mule application. What I can do, there is one application called API Manager. What I can do at this API Manager level, I will share this original application URL with the API Manager. What is this original application URL? Which is running on 8082 port. The application is running on 8082 port. So I will share that where the application is running, that URL with API Manager, and I will ask to create a proxy. So what do you mean by proxy?
Same URL, sorry, same URL with different endpoint.
No.
I
And it
mean,
will be exposed the original application only with the endpoints, not the implementations, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
this proxy also should have some URL, because that URL only will be shared with the client. For example, let's take it is running on a 8081 port. I am trying to do by using API manager, I am trying to uh, relate this 8081 port with the 8082 port. That's why I said we are giving 8082 port number to the API manager, and we are mapping this 8081 with the 8082 here. Okay, that means the proxy URL with the original application URL, right? Now,
So so it's one question. When you say the URL, right, is it the same URL which is used in Mule server? No, right? It will be a
exactly.
different URL for proxy, right?
That's what we are giving the original URL where the Mule application is running in the server. That URL is let's take 8082 port. It is running on
Correct,
8082 port. I am
correct.
giving that 8082 port to the API manager to create a dummy of that, right? It is created dummy, and this for the proxy we are creating a new URL with 8081, right?
Okay. Yeah.
8082 is for original, 8081 is for the proxy, right? That 8081 will be exposed to the client. Okay, now client will send a request to proxy application. That means proxy application also should be downloadable, because that should be deployed on a Mule server. So let's assume proxy is downloaded, and it is deployed on a Mule server, and which is running on a 8081 port, right? Yes, sir.
Uh, you said that Mule server, which runs on 8082, is
Hmm.
not secured, right? Then how it is secured in proxy?
That secured in the sense what? I mean, that's what we'll come to that point actually. Wait.
Okay,
See, as of now,
thanks.
what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to map these two ports, right? Because when clients send a request to the proxy, I want to validate here, because this API manager proxy, I want to act as a gateway, right? So what I want to do here, I need to validate the incoming request in order to make it secure. So at API manager level, I will write some security policies. Okay. So that security policies will be applied on the proxy. Now you got the point. It is applied on the proxy. When client send a request, the request will be validate against the policies. If it is valid, then only the request will go to the original application. Understand now? Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So basically,
Good.
API manager is routing the call from the client based on the validation, but it doesn't expose the actual port to the client. It's just exposing
Exactly.
the proxy, right?
Only the endpoints. Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone should read these policies, right? Once you create an API manager, automatically it will not apply on the proxy. Someone should read behind the scenes, right? So there is one thread. Okay, there is one thread which will what do you call that? Which will parse that entire policy. Behind the scenes, everything is an XML. So reading means parsing. So this entire policies should be parsed, right? So there is one thread called security interceptor. Security interceptor thread. What the thread will do, that will parse that policy and it will be applied on the proxy. Okay, now when client send a request, that request will be valid against that policy. Since these two applications, two APIs, background noise please check, that 80 81 82 is mapped. Since if it is matching, the request is validated, like basic authentication. For example, if the incoming request with a username and password, then automatically the request will go to the original application where it is running and give the response, right? This is how we can secure the application. All these applications are part of what? Gururaj, you raised a hand long back. I asked, you didn't get any question, you didn't ask any question.
Okay. No, Sujit, I have one question. So this proxy, when you said like this proxy has to be downloaded to a server, so and so this again has to be downloaded on a main server. So the API manager or the proxy running on a server and this the other server where we deploy our application, should they both have to be on the same server, like on the
It could be another server. So that's why you should choose the where you are going to deploy this proxy, on a local or on a cloud hub. You need to decide that and you need to select. For example, if you are deploying this proxy on a hybrid on a local, it could, I mean, the other application should be deployed on some other server, or it could be on the same server also. It is fine. Both are fine because both are having two different ports, right?
okay,
Yeah, basically, I understand. You will come to know which server and all. Basically, understand here, two proxies also one kind of a application with all the dependencies. It will be like a jar file only. Okay, so that will be deployed. Once it is validated against the policy, then the request immediately it will go back to the virtual application where it is running, and then the response will be given. So that entire mechanism I will show you practically when I discussed about a banking application. Yeah. So
okay,
all these applications are part of one account. What is that account? Anypoint platform.
but
So this Anypoint platform will be having some username and a password. So it is a 30-day trial account in the training period, 30-day trial account. And while you're creating the Anypoint platform account, you will be, I mean, with in this Anypoint platform account, as I told, 30-day trial account, right? You will be giving one mail ID. That with that mail ID, we can have one more account also after 30 days. So no need to change the mail ID every time. With a single mail ID, you can create a multiple Anypoint platform accounts. Okay, so who and all can access this with a username, password? Who and all can log in? They can access that, and of course, this Anypoint platform will be having an admin where he's responsible to manage the users, creating the environments, and giving the permissions to a particular user. He will take care of all these things. As a business group in an organization, you need to send a requirement to the admin. that you want some memory in this in this cloud platform to develop or to deploy your mule applications. Okay, that is the admin concept again together. Okay, and basically the name for this cloud platform in the MuleSoft is given as Cloud Hub. Cloud Hub. I will say Cloud Hub is an iPaaS. What do you mean by iPaaS?
Integration platform as a service.
No. Yeah, integration platform as a service. Very good. Integration platform means to create this platform required some infrastructure, correct? Yes or no? Required some infrastructure. So which infrastructure they are using? What do you mean by IaaS? Infrastructure as a service, right? So they are using internally AWS infrastructure to create this platform. Okay, well, how we can differentiate the difference between infrastructure and a platform? For example, um, you know the service apartments. I'm telling in a pure layman language here, just make everyone to understand. You know the service apartments, everyone aware,
Yes.
where all the equipments are provided. If you want to stay for one day, you can cook your food, everything on your own. So the infrastructure is created to you. Okay, and when you come to the platform, if you go to the Domino's Pizza, what you will do in the Domino's Pizza, you will just order the particular pizza, and you will consume directly. There already the platform is created and it is ready to consume, right? So Cloud Hub is also all the infrastructure is created and given to you, just ready, you are ready to develop the application and deploy the application. Okay, so infrastructure is already created. Got my point? So that's why, yeah, that is how you can differentiate between infrastructure and the platform. Yeah, so this is the architecture of any point platform. Not only this, there is one more application called runtime manager, where we can manage as the runtimes. So in the hybrid deployment strategy, we are going to practically see how to register the on-premises servers with the Cloud Hub, that means with the runtime manager. So there is one application called runtime manager. So in this, on-premises servers can be registered. So practically we are going to see what is this runtime manager. Okay, everyone
Yeah,
understood? Yeah,
Sujit, one question. So we have something called visualizer also, right? So
many
that
are
I'm
there.
not getting.
Visualizer, monitorizer, many. There are
Okay.
many, which is comes under SDLC sequence. I'm just putting in this here. So visualizing
Ah,
monitor, that all part you can, you can see that later part. That is fine. Yeah. So in this
okay.
SDLC process, what are the fitting and what applications will be fitting and how we are going to see. Can you please tell me the numbering for this, which comes first and second, like that? In all these applications, in this architecture, according to SDLC process, which comes first and next?
Design center is first.
So design center is the first one. Yes. Of course,
Exchange,
we need to simulate that and get the sample data next.
exchange that.
So we need to get a feedback after enabling the sample data. We need to publish that onto the API and to the exchange. From there, we'll share to the public portal. Finally, we'll get a feedback. Next, others also please participate. Only one person is participating.
Next is development that is on Anypoint Studio.
Next is on Anypoint Studio.
I, Next is the testing that is your unit testing.
Minute.
Santosh,
Pardon? Um, Unit testing.
I think Santosh wanted to go. So
Yeah, please anyone can go.
M units
M unit, yeah.
and the runtime management.
deploying the application, and then we can manage by API manager, creating a proxy and all, right? So in this deployment strategy, a hybrid deployment strategy, we'll talk about a runtime manager also. Okay, this is the architecture of Anypoint platform. Uh,
Hey Sujit, I have one question.
yes,
Is
please.
it this MuleSoft is synchronous or asynchronous integration?
By default, it is a synchronous. We can make the concept asynchronous also by using async scope.
Okay, and like you spoke about this testing. So, is it this MuleSoft has a specific license, and on basis of license, we have like the sandbox or production thing? How it has been designed? Like we get only one MuleSoft application, or how it is? Like because usually every application has different sandbox and production. So how it
Different
connects?
environments. There will be different
Yeah,
environments.
different
Yes,
environments. Yeah.
yeah.
So MuleSoft, it comes with a license or how it is?
I mean, of course, MuleSoft is licensed. Anypoint platform is a licensed one. Your organization will purchase an account with a MuleSoft. I mean, again, the sales team will come into the picture for this to talk about the licensing strategies and all. Because of this licensing strategy, the subscription packages what they are giving. Because of that reason, also MuleSoft is so popular nowadays. It comes as a package.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For training purpose, for learning purpose, not required to purchase anything here. Everything is a free of cost. But everything will be a 30-day trial account. But there is a technique to how to extend that as well. Any point studio also, if you open today, it is a 30-day trial account again. Okay. After some time, just close the any point studio, extract it again from the zip file. Again, the licensing will start from the day one again. Okay. Similarly, standalone server also in the same fashion. Okay, but
Okay.
when you create a raml in this one account, we cannot carry that to the another account. Only you can do is you need to download the raml file and you can import into the another account. That we can do.
Okay.
Okay. So actually, I'm having a little bit work today. I will stop here. Okay. Tomorrow I'll talk about this first Hello World project, and we are going to start. I mean, I'm going to give some assignment for the weekend as well. Okay. So fully practical session will be starting from. I mean, in tomorrow's session. Okay. Any
Yeah,
questions other than this? Yeah.
Raja, if you don't mind, I'll answer Divya's question, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Please.
yeah, Divya, we don't pay for the MuleSoft licenses in the corporate world, okay? What we pay for is we pay for the integrations that we intend to do in iPaaS, as Sujit explained, right? iPaaS is the platform where we do the integrations. It's a framework with fabricated tools used for the integrations. So as and when we do the integration, as and when we do the transformations, which involves the integration between front end and back end and other external systems, we need to pay for those many services.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. No, why I ask these questions because for the lawyer sandbox usually that is not been integrated. Only production or one more environment because of the cost. So yeah. So that's why I just asked this
Exactly.
question.
The organizations
Right.
also sandbox. They will create this trial account only and then use. If I'm not wrong,
Correct.
Raja.
Yes, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
We
Okay.
don't pay for those. Yeah. What we pay
Yeah.
for is for the production. Okay.
Production,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
I thought she's asking for about the production. So yeah.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Okay then. Thank you
Thanks,
guys.
Sujit. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.